I feel honored, of course. But I don't think I'm a journalist. See, I call myself a disc jockey. I've been a disc jockey, so the interviews came about by accident. I used to play records, jazz and opera and folk music, and I play records. And now interview a certain singer, maybe Pete Seeger, or once I interviewed Billie Holiday long ago. I'm called a journalist. I'm not sure I am, but I'm honored, of course. I think someone else's name could have been used, but I'm not being unduly modest, I just am honored. But what you're doing, aside from my name, what you're doing with that award, honoring those journalists who are good.
When I won the award, you know, it made me think about, you know, for one, at first I thought, well, I'm not really worthy of this award. And then in questioning myself on that, when I went to the dinner, some of the homeless groups that I've tried to help through the years came. They told me that, you know, they had been among those who had sort of urged that I get the award. It made me refocus, you know, in my mind, what I did that was worthwhile. And so in winning this award, it made me understand more what's important and what I need to do with my column, ways that I can use it to help people.
Well, receiving the Terkel Award was definitely the highlight of my journalistic career. I remember the reception that was held, and Studs Terkel and the words he offered, and he was talking about, he used this expression in Spanish, esperanza muere al último, which means hope dies last, and he was talking about how the farm workers often use that phrase, and it really just stuck with me. And I think that, you know, he's no longer with us, but I would like to just remember that phrase, hope dies last, because you know, his work lives on, and the inspiration that he's given so many of us lives on.
Anyone who was lucky enough to have a picture taken with Studs Terkel, he would do the same thing in every picture. And what would he do? He would point at you. He would point at you. And that told me so much about the man, and that is, he always tried to make it about the other person. And that's what made him such a great interviewer. He was always interested in the person he was talking to. He didn't try to make it about him. He really focused in on you. And I think, to me, that is the hallmark of, that's one of the hallmarks of a great journalist.
You come from a community. Why not start with the very community you come from? Might even be talking, no matter what your background, maybe be talking to your mother and your father or your grandmother. Nothing wrong with that. Why not start from the old Chinese poem, I forget how it goes, you know, and all begins with me. The world, the country, the region, the city, the block, me. It all begins with me.
One of the great stories Studs ever told me, I was doing a profile of him when he was about to turn 90. And he'd gone pretty much deaf by then. And we were having a drink here, actually, at Ricardo's, what will always be Ricardo's to me. And this is not a good place for someone whose hearing is fading, so where I'm screaming at him, and what'd you do last night? What'd you do last night? He's like, Rick, I went to see Mother Courage at Steppenwolf. Bertolt Brecht. Love it. And I said, you know, Studs, you went to see Mother Courage? A theater is not too much ambient noise in there, man. How did you hear the show? I didn't hear a word of it. Not a word of it, but I know the show. I know the show. I know Mother Courage. It was like watching a beautiful silent movie. I almost fell out of the booth thinking to myself, you know, most people, I would imagine, 90 years old, unable to hear, sit at home and read. They're not going to take this leap to go out and see a play because it might give them something, and Studs got a tremendous amount out of this. That was one of the most inspirational things I'd ever heard.
One of my favorite Studs stories was that my wife's in radio, and she puts on a awards ceremony every year for documentary radio producers, and Studs was the speaker one year. And I was sitting with him at the head table during dinner, and I just thought, oh my God, this is going to be awful. Studs he was deaf as a post for the end of his life, and he just looked like it was like a low blood sugar day for him. He's sitting there just kind of, and I'm trying to talk to him, and I couldn't get anything out of him, and I was thinking, oh my God, he's going to go up and give a speech. It's going to be a disaster. He couldn't really concentrate. So Joanna gets up there, she introduces him, and people give him a big standing ovation, and he walks on stage, and it was like somebody turned on the stud switch. It's like the audience and the microphone, and suddenly he was 20 years younger, and he was right there. He's like, radio, it's the sound of the human voice. It's it's America talking to America. And it's like this incredible surge of energy and personality and charisma, and it's like, wow. And he does this speech, and everyone leaps to their feet, and standing ovation. He comes off, and he sits back down, and I was like, Studs, that was great. And he had just like, he turned back off again. He had saved all his energy for that, and he had given all his energy, came back off stage, and it was like they turned off the stud switch. And so he could just rise to the occasion, a microphone and an audience, and that was Studs. He was so larger than life in that way, and just that, to me, that was Studs. He's a guy who when the energy was there, he was so present.
When Studs was in the hospital the first time, when we thought we were going to lose him, and he actually got through quite well, and ended up holding on, fortunately, for a number of more years. But I remember he was in the hospital, and it must have been 2004 during the presidential election, and Studs was lying in bed, and he was kind of in and out. He was drugged up, and kind of not completely there all the time, and he was waking up, and I was standing there, and he said to me, Alex, how's it looking? And I said, Studs, you're looking pretty good, and your color's coming back a little bit, and I was maybe kind of pushing it a little bit, but just wanted to make him feel good. No, how's it look? The election, how's it look? And that was Studs. He was always so engaged with what was going on around him. He just was so alert to everything. And I just remember that so well, because I just thought I was, of course, projecting, but if it was me, I'd be concerned about how I was doing. And what Studs was concerned about is, how's the world doing? How's my community doing?
It was really a privilege to know Studs. And all of us who knew him even a little felt that we knew him a little more than we did. That was part of his charm, part of his genius. To know so many people and to make so many people value knowing him. And when he died, my first thought was, that millennium is over. His passing was really the beginning of the new millennium for me. Just his going sealed something off.
In the evening, at sundown, awful busting at this town. Whether we last the night or no, life is always touch and go. And that's it is with me. And you've given me the touch sign. I'll go pretty soon, but I'll go having touched you, and you've touched me.
I honor the journalists being honored and all of you here tonight. And so, as Patty Bowler used to say, the bar is open. Thanks.